Hey, it's Heather, and welcome to Adventures in Gardening. So today is the perfect day to do some preliminary spring cleanup. My garden is in Connecticut, Zone 6, and today it is just gorgeous out. So I'm going to walk you through the process of the how and the why. I'm going to kind of cherry pick what I'm going to clean up, what I'm going to cut back, and I'm going to explain my thought process as I go. So I'm not the kind of gardener that comes through in the fall and just clear cuts everything and rakes everything up and is done, like rip it like a Band-Aid. No, I just can't do that. I do what's best for me, what's best for the garden, and what's best for the critters. Now, what's best for me is to be able to look out my window in the wintertime and see something, even if it's, seed heads blowing in the wind. I feel what's best for the garden is for the garden to just rest, for everything, for all the seeds to fall, for them to mature and then to fall. And also the debris acts as a mulch, okay, and just tucks everything in for a winter's rest. And what's best for the critters, the sleeping critters that are in the debris, they need a place to overwinter too. And for the birds come all winter to all the seed heads that I've left. So that is my theory on fall cleanup. So on days like today where it's really nice out, I am going to come through and I'm going to pick and choose what I'm going to cut back and what I'm going to clean up. And there are some areas where I am going to go ahead and rake leaves. Mostly I'm not, but I'll explain the why I'm going to do that in some areas. Now all of that debris is going to not be chipped or shredded this time of year. I'm going to go ahead and put it in my hugelkultur hill, and if there's any critters left, they can overwinter there. So I've got my tools ready and a wagon, and we're going to go section by section. I've got my garden sectioned off, and I'm going to tell you why I'm doing certain things, and then I'm just going to do it. So let's get going. All right, so this is my back flower garden here, and in my mind, I have it sectioned off into zones. So I really want to start over where the poppies are, only because, they're going to germinate pretty quick. So right here, those are the poppies down in there. So this right here is actually a weed that I just let grow because this is perilla, and it's a really beautiful, just purple foliage that grows. So I'm just going to be ripping these up, and I do have a wagon that's nearby. And yes, the seeds, mostly the seeds have been eaten by the birds out of these, but there still will be some seeds that fall, and I will have perilla. If you have perilla, you'll have it the rest of your life. You'll have it forever. So the other thing that is in here are snapdragons. So the snapdragons I'm actually going to cut off. Oh, I have to remember there is some asparagus in here, so I have to be careful where I step. All right, so the snapdragons I'm either gonna snap or cut, because sometimes in our zone, snapdragons will come back. So also in here these are garlic mustard, okay? Garlic mustard, although they are edible, they can be quite invasive. So the ground is completely workable. So I'm going to try to get these guys out. You can see it has quite a good root system on them, but they actually, if you let them go to seed, they will take over an area very quickly. All right, so I cut back all the snapdragons. I pulled most of the perilla. And in the very front are some basils from last year that were planted in fiber pots. I am not going to pull these up because they're going to leave a big gaping hole right now, and I just don't want that. So I am just going to snap them off. I'm gonna go through and rake this whole area because last year I sprinkled, as the poppy seed heads dried, I sprinkled them in this whole area. So I don't want to disturb them once they have, germinated. So I'm going to do that right now. And then I'll relocate all of this debris. Now I wanted to show you as I was cleaning up in here, this is what St. John's wort looks like as it's just emerging. So I leave St. John's wort wherever it wants to grow. All right, so I am not going to trim the boxwoods today because I do want to start to level these out here. The little puny one on the right nearly died a few years ago, but I'm just going to take the bigger ones down a little bit, and I've got them on the other side here. But I don't want to do it quite yet because we just don't know what's going to happen. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take care of this Montauk daisy. And if you look at the base, see all that's going on there. And then as you follow the stems up, you'll see that there are green here. So there's two ways to do this. My mom loves to cut hers back like all the way. I like them really, really tall and big, and I just think that I'm going to just I'm going to selectively prune these guys. All right, so that's all I'm going to do to the Montauk daisy, and then next to that is this mess of a peony. So these are going to get cut back all the way to the ground. These little teucriums here, I'm actually going to leave them. I was going to trim them back right now, but typically what happens is we get one final cold spell and they will eventually, they're semi-evergreen, so they'll just die back. I mean, who knows, maybe they won't this year, but they look really good. All right, and then I've got this very old azalea here that was here before I got here, and it's slowly been disintegrating, falling apart over the years, but there's lots of new growth coming up. So I have just been trimming it. Now this is a dead branch, clearly, so I'm going to use my saw and remove it right now, and probably a piece of that one too. Wait a minute. I think this whole thing is dead. All right, so now I am going to trim back pretty severely. I say that, but maybe not. I don't know. When I get into it, I'll know. This is the sweet autumn clematis vine, and I'm also going to get these Christmas greens out of here. All right, so that is better. I don't have to duck when I walk under it. And I will be cleaning this up some more, but with clematis, it will grow up and over all of the old dead stuff. And you can see that there are buds already on a lot of these. So, and then I just keep putting my debris here and I'll push it. I'll come through with a blower later. So now, I want I don't know what I'm going to do yet with this bloomerang, and I don't even know if you can see the whole shape to it. So bloomerang blooms on old and new wood. It's a lilac. And if, oh, look, can you see? Oh, it's got buds. I can't focus in on it. Oh, they're all over the place. Okay, great. So it was a Mother's Day gift from my daughter, and if you only have room in your garden for one lilac, I don't recommend this one, okay, because the Korean lilac and the French lilac have more intense fragrance, but this is a nice one to have. So I think I'm just going to go in and maybe just trim up all the old flowers. So this whole side here, this whole left side is phlox and coneflower. So the yellow finches have been through here and gathered up all their seeds. So this whole side, basically I'm going to be snapping off at the ground. You will notice there's a lot of green in here. This is that leopard's bane, and it freely self-sows. I mean freely, freely, freely. It's very beautiful in the springtime, but I'm probably going to rip some of it out as I go along. Also in here is, that is Amsonia, and I will snap that off at the ground. So basically I'm just not going to do any raking on this side. Right, phase one is done, and I've cleaned up everything I'm going to clean up today. Basically, it was just a lot of snapping off at the soil of, you know, things that were dried up and spent. But I left the leaves. I cleaned the pathways. I cleaned this one, that one, and the one on the other side over there. So I did rake those, and obviously I need new crushed stones over there. And I need new hose guides. I noticed those are all broken. I turned over the cats and the dogs outdoor water dish. I left things like daylilies. Anything that was clumping to the ground, I leave that for any critters that are still overwintering. And oh, and down here, the is it the Siberian iris? These iris right here. I just left those. I actually have to use scissors on those when the time comes. So, I mean, it's still early yet. There's plenty of time for cleaning up. Now, this other Montauk daisy right here, notice that there are greens on the tips of the plant. So I just left them. These will either fall off or I'll come through and brush them off, but I like them nice and big. So I want to show you some of the things that I saw. Oh, Buddleia. I let the Buddleia tell me where they need to be pruned back. So I didn't touch that one. That's a yellow Buddleia. And then this is a new one here. So they'll either, depending on the winter, they'll die back to the ground or they'll bud out on the new wood. So early things. This is why it's good to get in the garden early. And I will probably rake around these guys. This is, what is it called? Jacob's Ladder. Okay, so I have two of those right there. So they are coming up, and of course the hens and chicks always look good. They've got their winter color on them. I have a few of those that I took the leaves off of the top of. And that is not my cat. He's just passing through. I saw that we've got some tulips coming up. And I did edge over here where I cut back the snapdragons and stuff, so that's all done. The rest of the garden actually has little stones around it as their border, so I don't have to edge it. got some daffodils coming up right there. And this is an anemone, and I'm just going to leave that for now. Plenty of time to clean up the columbine. Look like little roses, like little green roses coming up. There's quite a few of those. And this is that osmanthus. I just love this. This is the star here. It got something landed on it one time, and that's why it's only half of it. So hopefully we'll have some new branches growing. But the color is fantastic. And over here, again, I didn't really clean anything. This is Onethra, the evening primrose, the yellow. That's what they look like. They're really super close to the ground right there. So that's that. Here is a sedum down there. And oh, there's just so much more to do, but I raked everything over here onto the hugelkultur hill, and I'll just keep adding to this until it's time to plant my zucchini rampicante there. So that's it for today, my friends. You know, when you have nice days like this, take advantage of them and get out there and do the things that you can do now in the garden, so that when the season finally hits, and you know it hits like a steam train, right? You want to make sure that you're not overwhelmed. So do the little things right now. Break it down. So thumbs up if you enjoyed spending time with me today, and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next adventure in gardening. See you soon.